York City, the largest consumer of food the world has ever known. Into this port comes daily a tremendous quantity of meats, fresh fruits, vegetables, canned goods, and frozen foods to feed the more than 15 million people who live and work in the metropolitan area. The food comes from every corner of the country, by rail from eastern and western farms, by endless motorcade from the corners of the nation, by boat from other ports. Thousands of men and women work around the clock to handle this overwhelming amount of foodstuff. The vast majority of the men and women who handle this wide assortment of food are members of Local 342, Amalgamated Meat Cutters and Retail Food Store Employees of Greater New York, and Local 640, Butcher Workmen's Union of New York and New Jersey. It is these workers who are responsible for the feeding of this area's enormous population. Basic among the food workers are the butchers. It is here, in this vital section of the city, the slaughterhouse district, that they execute their exacting skills. Their commodity does not come neatly packaged into their hands. It bellows into sight in its natural state, on the hook. It is then that the intricate procedure begins. After the bellowing has ceased, the slaughtered steers are hung in the chilling room. From this point, the meat is allocated by quarters, filling the requirements of various distributors throughout the city. It is from this juncture that an intricate network of operations is set into motion, ultimately bringing the meat to the dinner table in a variety of forms. The center of activity is the wholesale meat market. It is here that the beef is partitioned by expert hands into smaller food units. The meat, arriving by truck, is pushed by roller into refrigerated plants where the work is done. Dismembering begins with the stripping of the hide from the carcass. Long years of experience go into this operation. The skinner works fast and sure. One slip of his knife would cut a hole into the hide, thus minimizing its commercial value. The consistency of this worker's skill is an enormously valuable asset to his employer. Once stripped, the beef is ready for sectioning. The sectioning of beef calls for a master craftsman. Scores of beef carcasses pass through this butcher's hands daily. Awaiting the next step, the sections are lugged off and hung. In the further breakdown of beef, a rib roast is squared off to exact specifications for certain consumers. However, many of these sections are delivered as they are to restaurants, hotels, and retail stores, where their own butchers, also members of Local 640, perform these same operations. Another important operation is that of the boner. It is his function to remove the bone from the meat. This is done with maximum care to ensure the dealer of getting all the meat clear of the bone. This is still another example where the proficiency of the worker is of economic importance to the employer. In a wholesale hotel supply house, the workers handle the provisions and package individual steaks and chops for freezing and eventual delivery to the consumer. The beef in its bulk form is rolled onto a scale where it is weighed and marked for shipment by the weighmaster. It is the weighmaster's task to be certain that the shipments are marked accurately and that the weight is precisely noted. The meat is then loaded on trucks for delivery to the retail stores. In these modern and spacious metropolitan retail stores, more foodstuff is sold than in any other place in the world. To handle this enormous amount of business, a well-trained and diligent staff is a necessity. The workers, members of the Amalgamated Meat Cutters and Retail Food Store Employees of Greater New York, Local 342, functioning with an enlightened management, combine to bring service and quality to their more than 15 million patrons. In this respect, the members of Local 342 handle the final stages of setting the tables for the multitudes of Greater New York. All of these workers, whether they be butchers, cutters, journeymen, icebox men, wrappers, produce men, dairy clerks, checkers, or bookkeepers, play an integral part in the all-important operation of keeping the population well fed. Dealing directly with the public, these workers must be cheerful and considerate. In the final analysis, the retail store is the backbone of the food industry, and the contribution of these workers to its continuing success is a vital aspect of the nation's economy. The food industry, as with other industries, has interesting byproducts. This is a rendering house where the workers are members of Local 640. Here, the fat, bone, and trimmings from meat are gathered and processed. From this refuse is manufactured tallow, soap, nitrates, chicken feed, and fertilizer. The fertilizer enriching the pasture lands completes the cycle by which the steer fattens himself for market. There is another side to the story of New York food workers, their health and welfare. This is particularly true of the butcher, who's exposed to numerous occupational hazards, 8 hours a day, year in and year out. Refrigeration, cleavers, sharp knives, and the ever-present hooks. To safeguard the health of its members, the Butcher Workmen's Union, Local 640, under the dynamic leadership of Mr. Louis Bloch, hand in hand with enlightened management, established in April of 1951 a health center. Mr. Bloch, who pioneered Local 640 from its inception to its present strength, was the guiding light in the creation of this unique health center. Having served by presidential appointment on the Selective Service Appeal Board, he witnessed the high percentage of rejections due to poor health. This made Mr. Bloch more conscious than ever of the necessity for specialized treatment for the workers. A patient coming to the clinic for the first time was sent to the laboratory for the routine laboratory tests. By making these tests before the patient saw the doctor was able to form a quick, concise picture of the patient's state of health. This streamlined clinical procedure enabled the staff to see more patients during the clinic hours. The health center, substantiating Louis Bloch's original concept, was an immediate success. Here, for the first time, members of the local and their families were given complete medical care, with decided emphasis on curing their ills before they started, preventive medicine. In this health center, which was situated on West 14th Street in New York City, thousands of the members and their families came to be examined and treated. Every member and his family who had ever been treated by the clinic was called in periodically for further checkups. This administrative procedure was facilitated by the keeping of complete medical histories on all the clinic's patients. At a glance, the doctors could ascertain all previous ailments, diagnosis, and treatments. These records were continuously kept up to date by the staff. By following a carefully standardized procedure, the exact progress of the patient's health was determined. Any recurrence or possible recurrence of illness was immediately brought to the attention of the necessary specialist. The members found the doctors at the clinic friendly and sympathetic. They were always concerned with the individual, giving each patient maximum consideration. The patients always had the privilege of consulting a doctor of their own choosing outside the clinic and having the cost paid for by the union's Health and Welfare Fund. It was found in practice, however, that the vast majority of the members chose to consult with the clinic's staff. The doctors at the clinic, besides examining and treating the patients, became interested in ailments specific to butchers. By launching a research program, important statistical data was accumulated. This research into the various ailments associated with the butchering trade is a continuing process. In keeping with this progressive approach toward research, the local 640 and 342 have established a $5,000 annual scholarship for research into skin ailments as they relate to the meat industry, and a fully equipped laboratory for this research has been established. For many years, butchers presented a set of symptoms that could not be diagnosed. With the opening of the clinic bringing concentrated attention to these ills, diagnosis became feasible for the first time. When all of the results of the research are complete and presented, it will be a major contribution to industrial medicine. After any examination, if the doctor wanted additional tests to be made, the clinic was equipped to handle them. The equipment being a basic part of the clinic, it was found that the unit cost of the test was small enough to allow the doctors to order such tests with complete freedom. The test of this little girl, the daughter of one of the members, was negative, reassuring the parents that she was in excellent health. Whenever there was the slightest indication of a cardiac malfunction, an electrocardiograph test was immediately scheduled. The electrocardiograph equipment, as well as the X-ray and other testing facilities, were used continuously. The members and their families managed to keep the waiting room well filled. A large percentage of the members examined in the clinic were enjoying good health, but were partaking of the health center's policy of annual complete physical checkups. Any illnesses found as a result of these checkups, as well as those seeking medical aid, were treated at the clinic. This allowed the vast majority of the members to be treated for ills that in the past would have gone unchecked. The extreme importance of this in relationship to minimizing costly absenteeism cannot be overemphasized. The hastened recovery and the prevention of illness benefited both the workers and enlightened management immeasurably. This robust and healthy member with a large and growing family to support was not denied a necessary infrared lamp treatment for a strained shoulder muscle. This infrared lamp treatment is important to this member. It will enable him to do a good day's work. This little girl, in order to have her good day's play, must have her treatment. Ow! Minor surgery, an important function of the health clinic, was performed on the premises. Minor surgery services also included any emergencies that occurred on the job. A not infrequent occurrence when you consider the occupational hazards of the butcher. Here, the surgeon is about to perform a minor operation. It was the responsibility of the clinic to treat this type of patient during the post-operative period. Once again, this points out the thoroughness of the planning and administration of the health center. For any surgery that could not be handled at the center, hospital arrangements were made. All hospitalization that was necessary was handled through the clinic, which absorbed the cost through the Health and Welfare Fund. This included maternity benefits. The large volume of members who visited the clinic were suffering from a wide variety of maladies. The staff administered to patients with such simple discomforts as the common cold and ingrown toenails to caring for much more serious illnesses.